Welcome to another episode of Bars and Threads, featuring a purist, a hip hop head, Jhob 360, hip hop historian, a lyricist, on point to fashion and sneakers to no end. Episode 3, back in the building, as you can see. This particular episode is going to be called Ageism, racism, discrimination, and hip hop. Yeah, we've all known this for years. Let's get down to it, though. The main thing that boggles me sometimes, and I see these shows, and I see these different podcasts, and I see these people talk about, should a grown man or elder or whatever you want to call them. I'm not going to say the word unk and all of that. That's disrespectful. But OG, whatever you want to be called at a certain point in age, should 45 to 50-year-old lyricists or people in hip hop actually still be rapping today? One thing I'm going to really break down and say this, and I'll make this clear. I think people need to stop hating on the elder statesmen, that the people that came before you, or the people that paved the way. And to make a long story short and a short story long, I'm going to tell you like this. Some of y'all don't even need to pick up a mic. Some of you don't even deserve to be in the space that you're in. And I think there's a difference between a rap artist who raps, performs, MCs, and an entertainer who duplicates, impersonates, and is consistently coherent on basic, simple music. There's a difference in hip hop right there, but I'm gonna keep it moving on that topic or whatever, and I'm gonna break it down like this. In all forms of music, you got rock, you got country, you got jazz, you got blues, you got all kinds of genres of music except hip hop that has to come at the elders. Like, I don't hear many people coming at Led Zeppelin, rock band, or coming at Conway Twitty, country artists, or coming at any of them. You know what I mean? They glorify them. They treat them, they sell out their shows, and they treat them with the greatest of respect. But it's only in a certain culture that we just have people who just are like, nah, he lyrical miracle, or I just don't feel like thinking, I mean, I get it and everything, but don't sit back and say somebody who is probably in their 45, 50s or older lyrically, in the game or out of the game. I mean, I'm not going to hate on nobody's career, but nobody's telling Uncle Junebug to jump off the porch and just start rapping because he just woke up that day, drank that brown, and jumped off the porch and was like, oh, I'm going to be a rapper today. I'm not talking about that guy. I think your family needs to actually sit you down and be like, look, man, it ain't working. I've been in the game for a while in certain aspects of my life, and I learned one thing about the game. The more people you have in it, the more responsibility you have, the less you're going to get to where you need to be. So the last thing you need, if you are doing it, is a fan base that is based on you being the fan and them being the base of you being the fan. And if y'all want to break it down or talk about it, I'm going to try to continue on, because I just feel like this was the most entertaining topic out there. Then you got people out here trying to gatekeep. Like, oh, I got the biggest platform ever, so I'm going to close the gates on you. You're not going to be able to rap at 45, 50. I don't want to hear some of these people stuff that's even out now, and I'm pretty sure some of those people are, younger, but I think that the music that is timeless or classic or wanting to be heard again, I think that comes off a little clear. That's not dumb. That's not 12-letter word on that one. It's wanting to be heard again. And a lot of this music today that lasts about a classic album might last you 6 months now. So I don't want to say that our music and our genre is better than this one, or your genre is better than ours, or this was. Why can't we just all exist in a community of the same, and agree to disagree and be like, hey, I like that song, but I wanted to feel it a different way or whatever. But no, it's all about, oh, you an old head and your music. I mean, it sounds like the same arguments through the years, but this time it's gotten worse to the point where people are gatekeeping of who should rap, when they should rap, and when they shouldn't rap. Now, Uncle Junebug, don't just wake up in the morning, jump off the porch, and start catting in the hat rapping. You might even sound better than some of these kids out now. I'm not saying that to be, respectfully, but I just see that people's opinions are what bothers the talented people who should come out and they should release their music. Now, I'm not saying that everybody got bars, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that, oh, well, this guy ain't been out in years and blah, blah, blah. But if this guy ain't been out in years and he out rapping your favorite rapper, like, well, I mean, that's common sense. Now, it is a certain person that said it, and I feel like, yo, man, you ain't even got a nerve to talk. Even if you trying to say that, oh, okay, it shouldn't be no ageism, it should be certain people doing it like me. I beg to differ on that, man, and I got the receipts on your bars, buddy. I don't want to go into that right now. We'll go into that later on because I know somebody gonna ask me, "Can you do this for this?" And I'm definitely gonna do it for you because it's very entertaining to me at this point. And art determines relevance, and that is the synchronicity to things. Even in my era, when I watched like award shows, and I would see like Miles Davis, or I would see like some of these people who have been in the game like 40, 50 years before that point, and that was my era, and we respected them because they still had talent. It wasn't projected or modified or auto-tuned, or, you know what I mean? They actually had talent, I mean, it was a time where the people who paved the way for you in their 45 or 50s didn't have punch-ins. Like, we didn't punch in bars and, let me punch in the bar, you know what I mean? No, we had to ride it out 16 bars, you know what I mean? Sometimes, and then we had to structure the song because you couldn't come with a lyrical miracle song without having some type of hook or DJ scratching in or whatever. I mean, it was a different form and a different language then. And I'm not saying that you should do that now, but I'm just breaking it down like it was just a lot harder for us to push the envelope. And then at one point it was like reels. It wasn't even like digital yet. It was still tapes. So, and then you couldn't just rewind the tape, cut the tape, and then cut it back together. You could do that with like the beats and stuff, but with your rhymes, nah, you actually got to ride out that 16 and get to the hook. And the hook you could probably loop with the tape, maybe, but nah, you not riding out no bars like that. So I don't understand why it's always somebody saying that, oh, you shouldn't be doing this no more. Well, if I want to hear it over what you doing, so what? I think a lot of you have a lot of yes men. You gotta have 100 people in your clique or posse, clan, whatever you want to call it or whatever, and that's enough subscribers and viewers and something like, and that's something that's a movement right there. When you got all of that, you got all them people cheering on for you, and your talent is trash. That's pretty good. You know what I mean? That's more like a gang affiliation more than anything, but that's pretty good. But I'm talking about actual bars where you could stand in a ring and somebody put on the beat, and instead of, I'm not talking about battle rap or battle rappers. I'm talking about you could stand in that ring and you could just go off the top of the head or have just a catalog of fire in your mind. those are lyricists to me. I mean, I'm not coming at these kids and saying that they're not relevant or what they doing is not cool or nothing like that. I'm not saying none of that. I mean, there is some kids out here that's really pushing the envelope, and I do name those albums. I will review those albums. Is certain albums you ask me to review, I'm gonna come at you and it's not gonna be. I'm gonna do the review. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna play the song, and I'm not gonna be like singing along to the trash. I mean, I'm gonna let you know. I'm like, this is trash. I'm not doing it. Or I'm gonna do it, but why am I giving you the attention and the satisfaction of, or I can just make it? You want me to make it funny or something? I don't know. But 90% of the game right now are entertainers, and they're not really rap artists. And some of them, like I said earlier, shouldn't even look at a microphone. If you have a ghostwriter, that discredits you in all aspects to my list of any hip hop. Period. You're an entertainer, in my mind at least. At least I'm gonna be honest. If a rapper at the age says others shouldn't, I don't know. I gotta question that person place in the game, with lyrics and bars, and because a lot of people think we like, oh well, he got a hit song, and the other dude that's nicer don't have a hit song. That's how it's been like that for years. That's always been how it works. So it's not about that, because that's been a determining factor over the years too. Like the better MC was always the lower MC. And I'm not saying that the kids are the lower MCs. The lower MCs are the elders of these kids. Not saying like father and parent, but kind of sort of, not biologically, but to a sense where we're letting them dictate who should rap and who shouldn't. I don't know about that one, buddy. I think you need to stay in a child's place on that one. There's not a lot of music from these underground artists that are verbally nice or make you feel something or make you bob your head and feel that feeling again, because of the gatekeeping. And you got podcasts that come out, and these people don't even know hip hop. They straight trash. You talking and you don't even listen to the music. You don't even care about what you feel is lyrical miracle, whatever. You don't even want to hear that MC. You don't even want to hear his best song or see how he did his soliloquies and his cadence. You don't want to hear none of that. And I'm tired of people gatekeeping for what they like instead of like really sitting down and listening to it and being crucial. Because I know what I'm looking for when I'm rating these albums, and we're gonna go through that real soon, real quick. And I'm gonna make a long story short story longer. I have to be honest. The last 3 decades, even now, evolving isn't bad if the evolution isn't original. And when you have a constant inconsistency, this is a lot of big words, but I'm going to say this right, with nothing but littles, you're going to come up with the concept of we decide what the genre should be doing. We decide that, oh, these bars should be this or this should be that. Why are we putting age brackets in hip hop? You know what I'm saying? Because the last time I checked, it was about skill level. So if you're a hip hop artist, and there's a lot of them, that's your lane, then that's the lane you stay in. If you're a grimy, just barred out Black Thought type of cat, that's your lane, that's where you stay at. That's where most of these people, their originality comes from where they came from. And like on my last episode when I addressed some things that Benny said, Benny the Butcher, by the way, from Griselda, I was looking at it like, yo's frustrated because it's just not transitioning fast enough. And I understand that. But we as a community and we as a culture and the thing that brings that feeling to bring us together, have to stop making it racism to a certain level. Oh, because ageism, racism, discriminate, that's all hand in hand, you know? I mean, and I'm not down with the political rhetoric, but I'm going to keep it real. That keeps us as a lower part of society when certain classes of what created this music can't unite and accept things for what they are. But you also have to pay homage at times. But that's not my job to tell you. It's just my job to be the realist, to be like, hey, you know what I'm saying? It's getting ridiculous out here. And I'm not saying that Uncle Junebug, Uncle Monkey Monk, and all of them can jump off the porch tomorrow and start rapping. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying any of that. I'm talking about the people who've been doing, and they just hide their talent because nobody wants to hear lyricism because they got deeper with their talent. They don't do cat in the hat rhymes or cheerleader cadences and things like that. So I get it, you know what I mean? And if they only make it for them and they are lyrical like that, I commend those people. I commend anybody who want to step out there and put it out on the line. But to keep it moving on the podcast, I got some albums that I want to review because this podcast wasn't around when this music came out, and I do have some actual ratings for these albums, and you will be able to catch up with those on the Instagram page. I'm gonna say a few of them, and I will give you the ratings very fast, so just bear with me here. I'm gonna go with Common and Pete Rock, The Auditorium, Volume 1. I actually scored that 4.5 mics. The only reason I didn't give it 5 mics is because sometimes Common comes off a little, I'm not saying offbeat. That might be true, but, he's verbally nice. It's just sometimes he gets a little off cadence to me in certain aspects. Not offbeat, off cadence. I'm going to go with the second album being Razzcast and RJ Payne. If you have not picked up Gutter, you might want to go out there and grab that. This album I also gave only 4.5 because I just felt like if they would have rocked out with just them two on here, I think it would have been a better opus. But I gave them 4.5 mics on that, and you can actually find that on the Instagram page. I actually have that on there as this episode is about to drop. I gave Kendrick Lamar last year 5 mic album for GNX, and it's not because of they not like us. That is not what it's about. It was about the way the music was put together and his lyrical components that were broken down throughout that entire album and music. And it wasn't like something like, that's been heard in that type of sequence. And it wasn't one of those albums you could just listen to over and over and over and over and over and over again. That was what that feeling was on that particular album. So I'm going to keep it moving. I have to go with Lloyd Banks' 2 of his albums that came out last year and this year. Halloween Havoc, I gave it a 4.5. Last year's Halloween Havoc, Lloyd, you killed that. I have to give it to you. But again, I think your beat selection sometimes gets a little repetitive. That's my opinion, and don't take it personal because the bars are always on point, Lloyd. And that's Lloyd Banks, by the way. The last album you did was A.O.N.3, Despite My Mistakes. I actually rated that one a 4 because, again, I think the beat selection on there was subpar on this one, but it's still the 2 albums in less than 6 months, so I have to give it to you, Lloyd. Shout out to Lloyd Banks. Another 5 mic album that came out last year, and a lot of people probably wasn't aware of hearing it. I'm studying the words, but I'm getting this out of here. But De La Soul, The Grind Date. I gave that 5 mics. I think that if you're a hip hop head and you want to hear different things in the music and different ways it's put down, I would actually go with De La Soul, The Grind Date. But I will have more albums coming because another episode is coming right after this one. Episode 4 is on its way. And I'm out.